And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so we are today discussing building virtual relationships. And let me put that in present mode. And I got all the way to the end. That's awesome. Okay. I really am a professional, you guys, but it's just, you know, the end of the day, right? Okay. There we go. So we are building relationships virtually. I do have you minimized on my screen. So if something comes up, please put it in the chat. And then Gina will let me know if it's something I need to address now or later. It looks like we have a nice sized group, but not too big. So if you did want to unmute because you wanted to get your information in there, please feel free. You won't get me off my game any more than my sixth graders do. So welcome, welcome. My name's Kim Voge. For those of you who haven't met me, I have done a couple of presentations for Coach Q, and this year I was the Q Bold Director, so our paths may have crossed that way, and I've presented at multiple Q events. I've met some of you in real life, which has been so fun for me, and I can't wait till we can be in real life again. This is my 27th year in education, and I'm actually in my school district starting up a virtual school that we added this year. We had 9 through 12 for independent study, and this year we added K-8 independent study, and I was tasked with the K-6 portion of that. And for a while, a long while, I was the only teacher in place for that, and now our elementary portion has almost 400 students. So we've been hiring rapid fire and getting people in. Right now I have 51 sixth graders in my online class, and I work for Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. I live in Corona, so I'm kind of like on my way to Coach Q events often, it seems. And I'm also the OCQ events coordinator. So happy to be here with you guys tonight to talk about building some relationships. And you guys are actually a couple weeks ahead of me. So, but I think that we work, as far as the timing of our school year, but I think we work on building relationships all year. So what I'd like for us to do is to get to know each other a little bit with a thin slide activity. This is a great icebreaker, or getting your kids involved right away. So I am going to share this slide deck with you, and you are going to go grab a slide, or you might have to add a slide. And all you're going to do on this thin slide is do one picture and one word plus your name about your favorite frozen dessert. And so the link is on the slides, but I'm also going to share it in the chat. So grab a slide and put on there your favorite frozen dessert. You can insert an image. You might find yourself just going towards the bottom of the slide deck or halfway in between so that it's easy to grab a slide. This is much easier in a classroom or with your students, because you could number off your students, 1 through however many students you have, and then have them always go to that slide number. So last year, for example, my Danica was number 2, and so she always went to slide number 2 and did her thing there, so there was no worry about grabbing someone else's slide. So you're putting your favorite frozen treat on here, including your name. Thank you, Caitlin. Caitlin likes her ice cream, it looks like. I actually did this activity with my students today, and I shared with them that my favorite thing is a frozen banana from Balboa Island. And I like to go to this little shop called Too Sweet, and I get one side with pretzels and the other side with English toffee. So that's my big treat. So I can see you're all getting on the slides and putting your treats on there. And what I love about the thin slides, for those of you who may not be familiar, this is an edu protocol. I have a feeling you've heard that word before, some of you. And the thin slide is like the utility knife of edu protocols. You can use this all over the place. So this week I've been using them once a day for a variety of tasks. And today was the what's your favorite frozen dessert. Tomorrow might be what's your favorite sport. I'm not sure. I have to go look at my slides again. But it's a nice way to check for understanding. It's a nice way to ensure that everyone has a voice in what you're doing. It is it is very like liberating almost for your kids who don't want to talk a lot, because all they're going to have to get on here and do is say, my name's Kim and I like frozen bananas, and like because they're super tasty or whatever, or my favorite toppings are. And so we make it really finite. It's a really quick activity. It's not taking a long time for people to drop on a word and a picture. And then I can, especially in our distance learning, you can get around the room and have everyone share. I'm going to share the link again to the slide deck. Oops.
And Kim, we do have a question in the chat.
Sure.
So you just started Google Slide Deck and shared that link in the chat?
Oh, yes, I did. I thought I misread it. I thought the person was asking for the slide deck from the very beginning. Yes, I opened this up for anyone can edit, and I did share it. The only thing that might get in the way is, and I'm not sure about this, in Chromebooks, I don't know if you can copy and paste a link that's been sent out. Something to check. Oh, yes, I will share this deck, absolutely. Share that. And I actually have this as a master deck so that I can give it to you and put that out there. So, okay, awesome. All right, so as you can see, this is a quick build activity. We've been in here basically less than 5 minutes, and I could get my kids up and presenting. So what I would do if I were in my virtual classroom is I would ask my students to unmute. I would put my slides up, and then we'd start going around the room, and Caitlin would share her treat, and then Donna, and then Isabel, and we'd go all through them so that everyone feels like their voice is being heard. And it takes maybe, 10 seconds a kid, and rather than like pulling names out of the hat, I get everybody participating. So that's just kind of a little fun icebreaker activity that you can do at any time, is pulling out those thin slides. All right, so now I'm going to get into the more meat of it. I just wanted to kind of grab your attention there a little bit and give you something to do. So we are going to take a deeper look at some of the activities that you can do. As you know, with distance learning, especially building up those relationships with our students is a little bit of a struggle. So all of these are linked in here. So if you came back to this slide deck and just wanted to jump to these areas, you'd be able to. So we're going to start with Frere a Friend. Or Frere a Classmate. This is a smart start from the Edu Protocols book by Marlena Hebern and John Carippo. And I worked with the authors, and we came up with a whole series of activities for the first few weeks of school. It could be the first 4 days of school, depending on how many you did in a day. But I'll share with you where to find those at the end so that you'll have access to them. With Frere a Classmate, the idea here is that we're kind of stealth learning with the kids. We're going to introduce the Frere model in a real user-friendly, low cognitive load way, where they're going to be interviewing a friend and writing down the information about that friend and then sharing that information. And that's setting the stage then so that when we go to use the Frere model in language arts or in science or social studies, we're ready to go. So let me get to, and these are the things I just mentioned about the Frere model being a culture builder and an edu protocol. So here's what a Frere model looks like in case you're not familiar with the term. You've probably been doing something like this for years, but you may not have even known that it was called the Frere model. I actually pulled some samples here. I literally went to Google And I typed in fair model examples, as you can see, and pulled this out here for you so that you might see a variety of ways to use them. Whatever your content grade or content area is, if you went in and put in there science fair models, they will come up. And you can use this fair model like for anything. It's wonderful. So I really like using this at the beginning of the year with getting to know each other. And so the idea with the fair classmate is, in the past, I used to give my students like a signature search, and they would go around the room and find the kid who has a dog, find the kid who has a pool, find the kid who's wearing tennis shoes, all that thing, so they could get to know on no sort of level at all the people in their classroom. So in this case, I give my students someone to interview, and for example, Joan and I might interview each other, and I would write this out for Joan and she would write this out for me. Then the two of us are going to go meet up with another group, another duo or another pair, and I'm going to now introduce Joan and describe Joan and maybe talk about the things Joan likes or doesn't like and what her dream pet is. So now I've had to be a good listener. I've had to write down the information about Joan, and now I'm getting to share about Joan. So it's a real positive interaction. Well, as most of us are I'm gonna say all of us are distance learning, I believe, right now. This presents a problem on how are we gonna do this with distance learning. So one idea is, I did not use this on the first day of school. I'm actually not gonna use this until the second week of school, but I have been having them do other FRAIRs. And they've been going over to Flipgrid and leaving the FRAIR information. So for example, last night or yesterday, my students wrote about their favorite activity or sport. Then they went over to the FRAIR, to the Flipgrid, and they talked about it. And they said, you know, I like basketball because of this, this, and this. And they listed off these things. So it gave them some great speaking points. And then part of their activity today was to go watch and learn about 3 of their classmates. So I kind of want to get them into the routine of, I'm going to write this maybe about myself, and then I'm going to go share, and then I'm going to listen. So now that we've done that a few times, next week, I'm going to have them introduce themselves this way on Flipgrid. I'm going to assign them a partner to go watch and basically take notes about their friend so that they can talk about their new friend in some breakout rooms. So it's a little bit different strategy with the distance learning, but it'll still work. And it just sets up a nice way of them to get to know the FRAIR and get to know each other. Any questions you might have about the FRAIR model or this activity? All right. So I do have for you in here a nice Google drawing that I found a long time ago, and I'm not sure where I got it from, but it's a wonderful FRAIR model made on a Google drawing. And what I like about this is it's got the description over here about what people need to do in each of the boxes. It's color coded, which is, those of you who don't know me, like I'm a big color coded nut. I love that kind of stuff. And it's got some icons over here that the kids can use already. So rather than having to go find them, they're right there on the page for them. So the FRAIR model, and it's something that can easily be done. Also, let's say you have your students and they have their whiteboard at home, you know, this guy, the little whiteboard. I can have them just draw the 4 quadrants and FRAIR it, whatever it may be, a vocabulary word, an activity, an event. You know, at the end of the week, they could FRAIR their week. This could be what they do to, I know some teachers do like a little weekly newsletter where the student writes home and says what they've done during the week. They could actually FRAIR their week and take a look at what they did. And perhaps I would change this non-examples to being aha moments or something like that. So you can change up the headings in there. The examples and non-examples obviously work well for vocabulary and like historical events and such, but may not work so well with your describing your week. So that is the FRAIR model, using it at the beginning of the year and then extending on. Dara Lynn's saying that she had your, okay, great. the kids did the Frere a friend in breakout rooms. Wonderful. That's what we're getting towards. I don't trust my kids just yet. I gotta get to know them a little bit more. All right. So, okay. So next up, the morning message. So some people are looking for something for their kids to do, like kind of while they're maybe waiting in the breakout room, or maybe it's just a brain warm up, or maybe you need a sponge activity or something like that. So this summer I found the idea of a morning message where someone had made a template that had each day of the week. And then I put them out to my group. I have a whole group of educators that share stuff on Facebook, which you're more than welcome to join us. But what they did, and I have it here for grades 2, 3, and 4, 6, is they just kind of have a little morning warm up. And each morning is something different. Most of them are an independent activity. And we crowdsourced this, so I actually haven't looked at it for weeks. But here we go. Here's a Math Monday activity. So if you just need like a little warm up or a sponge or a transition, this could even be like getting ready to go into a break time or something like that. Some of them are really fun activities in here for your students. So it's all hyperlinked in here. There's actually here on slide 2, it should be set up for 36 weeks. And it's only as good as the people who have gone in and worked on it. So if you get there and find out that there's some stuff not done and you want to help out, you can shoot me an email, or actually back on this slide, it says, would you like to work with us? And you could get edit access to this to try to help us out. I do have it partially built for grades 2 and 3. We got some help on that. Nobody had offered up to do a K1, but if you wanted to, I'd be happy to set the slide deck up for you and get it all linked for you, and then let you fill it in. But that's just kind of a fun way and something that's already done. You don't have to go pay for it. It's ready to go. Any questions about the morning message? And I haven't used it yet with my kids because we've only been there for 2 days. But okay, awesome, Jen. That'd be great. So, all right, I'm going to move on.
I think I need to.
All right. Oh, Deborah, did you have a question? Okay. All right. Next up is the morning meeting. And I was new to the idea of the morning meeting this past year. So my career path was in the classroom for 18 years, TOSA, or teacher on special assignment, for 7 or 8 years. And then my position was eliminated, and so I was back in the classroom last year. And I came across the idea of the morning meeting, which was not a new idea to most people. It was new to me. And I really wanted to kind of bring my students together and really have that kind of family feeling where we lean on and lean in on each other. And that's going to be my next sticker that I make, is going to be lean on and lean in. I didn't have time in my schedule to do this every day because this took about 20-25 minutes. So I only hosted it once a week, and we did it every Wednesday except for one. And that first Wednesday that we didn't do it was because like we had to have a district writing prompt done or something. And I said, you guys, we've just got to work through it. And it was like kind of put all of us in a bummer mood. And so we vowed we were never getting rid of the morning meeting again. So the morning meeting kind of goes in this order where you have a greeting and then some sort of sharing and then a group activity. We actually did a collaborative Google drawing a few times during distance learning, and then the morning message. And I have the slides set up for you if you want to take and grab these, as far as they just like look nice. But I went online and found a whole bunch of different greetings. And obviously distance learning, we're kind of doing like the virtual high five is what we did today. It was a little weak sauce. I don't really know what else to do with a greeting as far as virtual learning. When we were in person, I found different ways to say hello in a variety of languages. And we did like a elbow touch or a pinky shake or something silly. They had to, you know, like talk like robots to each other. There was all sorts of silly things, and I don't have anything that translates well into virtual learning yet, but I'm sure we'll get there. And then we moved into something sharing. I often did a would you rather type question here, so that it was just something quick that we could go around the room and say and be done with. Today, we actually did this as a thin slide, but I did it within Nearpod. And I don't know if you have Nearpod or Pear Deck or anything like that in your classroom. You could also use Padlet, basically. And they went on and shared, I think that may have been, no, that wasn't the frozen treat. What was the sharing today? I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was their favorite summer memory of 2020. And so they just went on real quickly and put something. So it was just super quick, and they could all see each other's at the same time, which was kind of nice for the virtual setting. So that was our sharing. And then we went to the group activity. And today's group activity was actually a sketch and tell. And that same question I did for you earlier today was at the top of the hour with the frozen dessert, we did with the Edu protocol called Sketch and Tell. And they had to sketch their frozen dessert. Then I sent them into a breakout room for like 2 minutes to share about their frozen dessert. And then they came back and they were going to write a couple of sentences about like why it was their favorite dessert. During the group activity in the classroom, we did a lot of the roll-a lesson, like roll a pumpkin, roll a jack-o'-lantern, roll a snowman, where they were rolling dice and they would draw the images. Super, super fun. I'm guessing that most people have dice at home, so you could probably do a roll-a activity. Or you could maybe get, there's dice at the Dollar Tree. I just saw them today. You get 10 die for $1. And so I was thinking, oh, maybe I could send them home if they didn't have any, but that might be another fun group activity. And then we end with a morning message, and usually find the quote of the week, or something that goes along with the message that we were focusing on in class. This week, because of our timing, I kind of had it be a book that we were reading that was all about being kind. And so it went all together. So that is the morning meeting. Anyone have any questions or suggestions for the morning meeting, things that you've seen that have worked with distance learning or anything? Or pitfalls, things that wouldn't work? For the sketching, I had them in Nearpod, and there's a sketching tool in Nearpod. When we were in the classroom, they actually wrote on Post-it notes, and then we decorated the wall with Post-it notes. Joke of the day is great. I'm not sure what a Plexar puzzle is, Joan. Maybe you can unmute and explain, or tell me where to go find one. Isabel, this would take, a rebus puzzle. Okay, great. Thank you. This usually took about 20-25 minutes in person. Today we didn't, like I said, the morning message, I was reading another little book. I would say today was about 20 minutes. So, all right. It obviously was a lot faster in person. And they weren't sharing out loud today. When I mentioned that they had done the little sketch, they actually just looked at each other's. My timing's been a little off on these right now. I'm still getting used to that. So I have to work on my timing. All right. Next up is the Smart Start called Things That Rock. I think I was talking to John Carippo about this, and he said that it was a version of things that suck, or like what sucks less or doesn't suck. Oops. Oh, I have to go to the slide. Sorry. I linked it in right here. So you basically ask your kids about things that rock or don't rock, and they can, if you're in Pear Deck, they can drag something. You could have them do like thumbs up or thumbs down in the chat. If you have them some teachers sent home like popsicle sticks with a green circle and a red circle for yes and no. So you could do that. So it'd be like, I put this out to the group. Homework, does it rock or not rock? And then the kids would, in the classroom, they'd be on opposite sides of the room. But for example, on Pear Deck, they could drag their little icon. You could do this as a polling question in your Zoom. If you're using Zoom, there's that polling question option. So that would work. And that's how I was going to try it this week with my students, is trying with the polling question. So it's just a way to get to know them. If you're having maybe you just need to break up the day, throw in a couple things that rock or things that don't rock. It doesn't have to be done only at the beginning of the year. Maybe you need to get to the heart of the matter for a problem in your class, and you throw in a couple of things that rock or don't rock that are related to that problem. And then it kind of opens the door to talk about things. All right. And then artifact sharing. So I know I had my kids kind of do this during our distance learning before, where it was silly stuff, though. It was like kind of a scavenger hunt, like go find something that's red. But the kids love to share. And as soon as one kid's dog walks across or cat walks across the screen and they see him, they all want to share their pets. So it would be cool, I think, to, have a day where we are going to share, and maybe it's like they get to say 3 clues about their item and then show their item or something like that. I think this also comes from that, the culturally responsive teaching and the brain. Some of these ideas I got from that book. They could go explain it on Flipgrid and then really be able to share. This is actually a picture of my son with a rock he found years ago. But he would love to tell you all about that rock, more than you would ever want to listen to about that rock, And I put up an artifact of mine was when I got my 20-year pin. So it could be anything. And if we model about sharing about ourselves, then that helps the kids want to share about themselves. You could even have your students possibly do a life map. Now, kindergartners are not necessarily going to have many of these moments to put on here just yet, but you could have your students use Google Slides, and they could create a visual timeline of their life over the course of the school year. Or, a lot of people do like the person of the week, and we could do or a vision board or something like that. And, maybe this one here that's the happy and the difficult moments, maybe there might be something pretty heartfelt there that the kids don't necessarily want to share out loud. So I would be just mindful about when you put this out there to kids and say, we are going to be sharing these with the class. So make sure that what you write on there is stuff that you want the class to know about, that type of thing. Or, put that in the explanation to the parents or something so that they know. And if it is something that maybe the kids want to share with you on the side, that's different than sharing with the whole class. But that could be a fun one. I loved this, and I can't wait to do this. I want to do this in a couple weeks after the kids get really comfortable. This was a Twitter post that I found, and I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of a bento box. Like your bento box lunch has the little sections of the different things that you like to eat, right? Well, my one friend, Cam, and I did bento boxes for a book report for the kids. They read a book and they brought in artifacts that would meet up with the book. So, I'm going to pick on the book, The Hatchet, but they obviously didn't bring in a hatchet, but maybe they brought in a toy airplane, and they brought in a branch from a pine tree or something. So that's how we made it work for bento boxes. But this I love. What are your passions at home? What do you love doing at home? And then the kids put these items all around themselves and took pictures. And I believe, I linked this here. And so this will take you to the actual Twitter post so that you can see them bigger. I'm pretty sure. There we go. I just thought this looked so fun, and the kids really got to share about themselves. And I mean, what a great culture builder in the classroom. So, okay, great. I'm seeing lots of good stuff over in the chat. Okay, good. Good. All right. So that's one that, I mean, that would, those I would even probably take the pictures and I'd want to go like, I know we're not going to be back together, but like if we were back together, I'd want to print those and put those up at open house almost. And you know, you can print pictures so cheap at Costco. So, okay. Or a gallery walk or something. I've been reading a picture book a day to my students at the end of the day. I put in here some back to school read alouds for you. Depending on your grade level, there's some good blog posts there. One Drop of Kindness was written by a friend of mine named Jeff Kubiak, who is a Q member also. And it's a great little story. And my students actually kind of repeated it as we went along. The Giving Tree was like my favorite story as a kid, so I thought I'd put that there. And then I don't know if you're using Epic or Vooks, but they have, I did kind of a search for just the kindness stories. So you can make little shelves or collections of books and then send those out to your kids. If you're not using Epic, it's kind of cool. I found out today, apparently in 2 days, my students have read 25 books. So I got a little message that I earned a badge for that. So Epic was pretty fun with that. What I like to do with the picture books, aside from just read them for the message, is I really wanted to get my kids into sketchnoting. We're doing so much online that what I've been doing now is while I read, they sketchnote. So Sylvia Duckworth, of course, is like the queen of all things sketchnoting. And then I also found this gentleman on Verbal to Visual, and he's got some good little kind of step-by-step videos. And yesterday I had my kids watch 2 of his videos, and then they did that in their time away from me. They watched the videos and maybe sketched a little. And then when they came to me after lunch, I read them a story and I asked them to sketch note while I was reading. And I said, this is not for a grade. This is just to connect your brain to your hand. And I said, I'm not going to look at them, but you're going to build these skills over time, and you're going to then be able to sketch note your notes and add visuals to your notes. And then today's story had people in it. So we actually watched the Sylvia Duckworth one on how to draw stick figures. And so they were able to incorporate that. And tomorrow's story has, I think, gophers in it. And so Sylvia Duckworth has like how to draw basic animals. So I'm going to have them watch that before we do that. So I thought it was a nice way to bring in that sketchnoting, connecting the hand to brain, still giving them picture book stories to listen to in upper grades that have a meaning. We're doing a reflection activity on on Thursday as well about the 3 stories I read this week. And eventually I'm going to have my students listen to podcasts and sketch note while they listen to a podcast. So just kind of bringing all those things together for them. All right. Any questions you have on the sketchnoting part of that, or using the storybooks? Or if you have a good book that you, like we read The Important Book today or yesterday, and it was really good. And then today we read one called Each Kindness, and it was actually a little sad. And then tomorrow's like The Great Fur Frenzy or something. But to kind of wrap up some final thoughts so that we can have an open discussion if you'd like. Oh, I see a question. What videos did they watch for sketchnoting? Okay, I will take you to this Verbal to Visual. Right here is a link to this gentleman, and he's got a whole YouTube channel. And I did not purchase his class, but he's got a whole, if you look him up on YouTube, I thought I linked to the YouTube channel, but apparently I did not. So let me go Verbal to Visual. Let's see. YouTube. Terry's suggesting that any book by Peter Reynolds is good. Did he write The Dot also? I think Peter Reynolds, it's International Dot Day next week. Yeah, that'll be fun. Okay, Verbal to Visual. sketchnoting in the classroom. So this gentleman's got a whole sketchnoting thing in here, little videos. So if you, like, here's the getting started. I think this is the one my kids watched first. Definitely watch his videos. There was one that I thought was really good, and down in the corner it had something, it was not necessarily inappropriate, it just wasn't the best for kids. It was something about like working really hard, but not that type of, it was telling someone you work really hard, but in a not so kid-friendly way. And so I didn't even notice it until someone brought it to my attention that it was like down in the corner of one of his pictures. So just, as always, watch your stuff, watch your videos. This is one I'll be using, I think for next week, is the 3 tips for new sketchnoters. And he goes over things really well. Also, Sylvia Duckworth is another good one. And she actually, it's her website that's better. It's Sketchnote Fever. I'll drop it in the chat. And what she's got, when you go to this site, if you scroll down, she's got, here we go, all of these right down here, school icons. Click here for the video, click here for the slide. And her videos are pretty quick. And I told my kids, I said, oh, boys and girls, I said, with starting sketchnoting, you might find that you have to pause or re-watch some videos. Sometimes I said, I just put it on myself. I said, I had to watch that video like 4 times because she goes kind of quickly. So that they knew, like, it was validating them, like, it's okay that I have to watch this over and over again. But like today we did the little, she's got people in here. And then here we go, number 17, she's got the people. And then tomorrow they're gonna do the animals. And so they can either watch the video or just look at the slide. I like them to watch the video because they see how she makes them out of the very simple shapes. And then someone put in the chat that Jen Giffen has a great website too. Thank you. All right. So kind of to close it out, just because I thought this was so important. This summer I did a book, I was part of a book study on culturally responsive teaching in the brain by Zaretta Hammond. And we learned so much in that book. And while we were learning with each other, I came across this graphic that's on the right-hand side. And it is from the blog post, The Cult of Pedagogy. And if you ever wanted a good blog or podcast to listen to, hers is amazing. But I loved these 3 ideas because it's everything I've mentioned in here. And I was not doing it to be intentional about being culturally responsive and about like the brain science, but I'm glad that everything that I've been doing supports that. So it was like a validation factor. So to make any lesson more culturally responsive, you can gamify it. By adding in like either like a quizzes or something like that, solving a puzzle, those Rebus puzzles, those morning messages, those were all part of gamifying. We're making it social where kids get to have some interaction. So we have that morning meeting where they're getting social, or maybe in some breakout rooms, or even using Flipgrid for that asynchronous social. And then having the story, like honoring the story or the narrative that students might have, getting them to talk about themselves or about their world around them is always something that is super helpful, I think, and makes them feel validated. So, and then in here is just the last little slide, gives you some ways to reach me and keep in touch. People often ask me where I get my cool backgrounds. This is where I get my backgrounds. This is everything EduProtocol related, and then some other goodies over here, including my Facebook group if you would want to join that and keep in touch that way. My email's on my very first slide. So I'm going to stop sharing and see what questions or comments you guys have, and we can have like some open chat. Oh, I know there's one other thing I have to give you though. You have to go to eduprotocols.com if you haven't been there already. We have the whole first 4 days of school planned out there, and there are all these really basic EduProtocols there, and everything's planned and ready to go. So that would be, I think, super helpful to you. I'm going to actually go screen share again so that you can see what that looks like and see if you have any questions about that. Oops. Okay. So on the EduProtocols website, it's called Smart Start. And I worked on this with the authors of the book. And once you click it, it opens up into a whole document where you can go make copies of all of these documents. In this yellow column is quite a few of the EduProtocols I've mentioned. We talked about the Frere. So here's 4 different ways to Frere. I talked about thin slides. Here's 4 different thin slides. And things that rock is even on here. So we've got everything kind of ready to go for you. And the things that rock actually is set up really well for you to give out to your kids. And it's got these little red dots on the page so that each kid can grab a dot. So if you didn't have access to Pear Deck or Nearpod, your kids could go in here and grab one of these dots and grab a dot and put it for the thumbs up or thumbs down. So we tried to kind of think of everything with that. But, and even though we've put these as a smart start, you could certainly use them anytime in the classroom as just kind of like a fun activity as well as the content. If you have not introduced these just yet in your classroom or need a way to introduce them, these are good low cognitive load, non-content ways to get these into your classroom. So, all right, I'm gonna stop sharing again. And now I'm really gonna stop talking and let you ask questions.
I don't have a question, Kim, but you know that I followed all of your webinars in July and had really loved them. Just for anybody who hasn't done the protocols, I have got 3rd graders and I've done so many of the smart starts. Next week, we're actually starting some of the more of the content and, you know, having the kids work, but it has been, I think, really fun. And I feel like I've gotten so much more done than I sometimes did in traditional classroom, even with all the glitches, because we just keep moving and they're going right along. It's been great. So thank you so much for all that.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yay, I'm glad. I actually, one of my students from last year moved to San Jose and they must have started school a couple weeks ago. And she emailed me. It was so cute because I could even tell in her email how much she's matured just over the summer. And she let me know that her teacher in San Jose did a cyber sandwich and she was the only one who knew what a cyber sandwich was. And she was like on top of the world. So the EduProtocols are spreading out there. I'll talk EduProtocols all day if you give me the chance. So I know we're focused on building relationships, but they kind of go hand in hand with a lot of the EduProtocols. So anyway, and I've heard back from some of my kids from last year saying that, you know, their kids have started off this year in a good place with technology especially and all that. And 5 of my current students came over to me to be with me again after I had them last year. So that's been kind of fun too. I said, I hope you guys aren't bored with the protocols because we're doing them again. And they're like, no, we love them. We're fine. So that's been really good. But any questions or things you want to share that have worked for you? The presentation, I don't know how it will be sent to you, but I can give it to you again and then you can make a copy. So I'm assuming they'll probably put it with the recording, but I will send it out to everybody again and then you can make a copy. There you go. Sure. My pleasure. Any tips you guys have for me or things to avoid? Because I'm just starting, I'm 2 days in and you know, I decided I can't even plan for the week. I'm just planning for the day. Like, does it ever get to be where I can plan for the week? I don't know, help me. It is still day by day, Joan? Okay, that's fine. I'm hoping we can get, once we get into some content, I think it'll be easier to start going by the week, but We get into a pattern. Okay. Oh, good. Chrissy's team is trying the Smart Starts this week. Good, good. You'll like them. The key is the repetition. Absolutely. And you think the kids are going to get bored. And my kids were like pretty confident in telling me what they thought about things last year, not in a disrespectful way, but they didn't get bored because I just changed how we used them a little bit and gave them that more rigorous text, and they were able to attack it. And so the thing was, they were confident with, they knew how to do the thing. Like they knew how to do the cyber sandwich, or they knew how to do the Frere. And so then I could go ahead and put in the deeper content. International, I think I just Googled International Dot Day, and I read the students the book, and I literally give them like a 9x6 piece of paper, and I had some extra dot stickers and I stuck a dot on it. Well, last year I let them put the dot where they wanted to, but this year with distance learning, I went ahead and put the dot on the page, but they can take and turn the page in a way they want. And they use just a Sharpie marker is what I had them do last year. So that's what I'm planning on having them do this year. So, but it's pretty fun. And then what I'm thinking with virtual learning is I'm going to have open up a slide deck for them. And on your screen, you can take a picture of anything you want. Like you can hold it up to the camera. I don't know if you know this. In a Google slide, you can insert an image right from there. And so they could hold it up and take a picture of their dot picture. And then we could have like a virtual gallery walk. So, and yeah, a combo. Yeah, I did actually a training 2 years ago for our combo teachers with the EduProtocol book, thinking like, this is going to save your life, because I can teach you guys all how to do the cyber sandwich and then just give you guys the missions paragraph and you guys get the Revolutionary War paragraph and we're good. So wonderful. This is the time we get to kind of finally do all those things that we haven't been able to do because we were so worried about tests and staying on scope and sequence. And like, I don't know about you, but every friend I've talked to is like, I've made my long-term planning like 4 times. I'm like, stop doing that, because we can't possibly do a pacing guide right now because we don't know. Nobody can do a pacing guide. I haven't heard if we're skipping the test again, but I can't imagine that we would do it, quite honestly. But you know, people were all talking about this loss of learning, and I don't think it's going to be quite what people are worried about. Honestly, I just don't see that happening. At least with my kids, they can all write a sentence. They can all, you know what I mean? Like, they came in and they're speaking pretty articulately. It wasn't like we went back to caveman, you know? So, anyway, but all right. Anything for the good of the cause, or something that you want to know that doesn't even have to do with building relationships? Just a best practice or a tech tip or anything? I know you guys are all tired, so. You are welcome, Darylyn. Yeah, it's going to be a good year. Oh, taking picture. Oh, sure. Okay, so let me share my screen again. And let me get into my other account real quick. Okay, so if I'm in a slide deck, let's see. Here we go. This is a slide deck from today. Let me get to a blank slide. Oops. There we go. Okay, so if I want to have my students put a picture on here, I'm looking for something to, here we go. All right, so I'm gonna go to Insert, Image, and then there's the camera. So all your kids have a camera on the Chromebooks, right? So they open that up. And now you can see the green screen behind me. I can move this up to the picture, straighten it out a little. They might have to get a parent help them and hold it. And then I take the picture and click insert, and now it's on the slide. So when my kids make the picture of their dot day stuff, I can have them hold it up and get it right on the slide that way. Yeah, wow, isn't that great, Donna? So pretty easy. My kids are working on, I gave them a mystery STEM bag. Like I gave them a bag full of like 7 whatever pieces from Dollar Tree, right? Like a pipe cleaner or this and that. And I gave them a little, like create a way to, you know, carry water or something. And then they're making all of them at home. And it's like, how are we going to see all of them? And I'm going to have them take a picture like that on the screen and get it on a slide so we can do a virtual gallery walk. Oh, good, Chrissy. That's awesome. That's good. So maybe we'll be put on pedestals again because, you know, we were all put on pedestals in March and then that changed. And then we were, you know, not. Darylyn, do you mean videos that they make? Let's see.
Just like you did with the insert a picture, can they insert a video? Just like on Flipgrid, could they insert a video onto their slide?
Let's go back and see. I don't know.
Okay.
Push all the buttons, right? Insert.
Right.
Video. I'm going to say no because yeah, you can't just make the video. It has to be, you have to get the video from somewhere.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks for looking.
Yeah. But if they made the video in Flipgrid, they can download the video and then I think they could upload it to their drive. It would be all the key to that would be communicating how to do that.
Yeah.
So, but I think they could download it, upload it into their drive, and then insert from there. So there probably could be an easier way and I don't know. But that might be it. Well, thanks for spending your evening with me. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Marie. Oh, you guys are great. I appreciate your accolades over there. I appreciate it. Reach out anytime. I've been a little slower in answering emails these days. I went to bed at 8 o'clock last night. But I'm happy to help you guys, and we are all definitely better together. So you have a good one, and I'll see you the next time. Have a good one.